probably actually wouldn't be doing the winter milk, or
Yeah,
we would have had to reconsider doing the winter milk if we didn't have a herd home. But we've got the facilities, so let's maximise them. We can see the white-eye factory from the farm, in the distance admittedly, but we're right in the catchment for that. So why not?
Milk, yeah.
Yeah, and we need to be maximising the value for every kilo of milk that we can do.
And every kilo of grass we grow too. We grow more grass during the winter than in the summer. So cows milk better when it's cooler than when it's warm. So yeah, and it definitely gives us some options as well. Like our calf shed is probably not really big enough, and there's probably other bits of our infrastructure. We're in an 18-a-side shed, but it's been built for smaller cows, and so we're not using every set of cups. So this means that on winter milking really means that on any given day, especially through the middle of winter and through the summer, there's actually less cows going through the shed than if we were milking everyone all the time, and
through a traditional season.
Even when we were 100% spring calving, our cows, we still milk pretty much all year round. It was the later cows kept milking till the first one started calving. So, but now with winter premium for Frontier and benefits from autumn calving with a herd home and all, it just makes it easier to be winter milking.
Yeah, so what we've ended up doing is that we still do basically a 12-week calving spread, but 6 weeks of it is in the autumn and 6 weeks of it is in the spring. And so, with
a 70% autumn to 30% spring calving ratio.
They'll come in and have a feed prior to morning milking.
Yeah, and then they'll get milked, come back into the herd home, finish up any food, and then they go to the paddock about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning for 3, 4, 5 hours, depending on the weather and everything, and depending on how much grass is available.
Yeah.
And then they'd come back in at lunchtime to have another feed and all, and then they're there until afternoon milking, and then they either come back in or go to the paddock at night. And if it's really wet, they'd come back into the herd home at 8 o'clock at night if need be, but normally they're out for majority of the night.
Yeah, and we built enough space in our herd home when we built it. We probably went a little bit bigger than the herd homes team would have recommended to us, but we were conscious that if we were going to be winter milking potentially and wanting to calve here, we wanted to give our cows lots of space. So we've got enough space that if we've got winter milking cows and also dry cows, we can have our dry cows up the back of the herd home, and we just run some hot tape across, and for us that works well enough to keep the two mobs separate. So we can be using the herd home for both milking cows and dry cows at the same time. I mean, we're on a relatively small farm, so it didn't work for us to put two herd homes up, which might have been sort of at our previous job where we had multiple herd homes. That's how we ran it. We'd have one herd home would have milking cows in, and another whole herd home would have dry cows in. But here we just split the herd home so that we've got some of each in. Yeah.
Our somatics for this season has averaged 75 from the 1st of June, so the last 4.5 months has averaged 75, and at the moment it is between 35 and 50. So somatics is not a problem, and we never have any problem. Like, we have a few cows with mastitis, but we actually find we get more cows with mastitis the longer they're outside. So the more they're in the herd home, we actually get less mastitis.
Well, that seems
so yeah, having cows in the herd home definitely has no effect on our somatics. Probably actually lowers it. So.
Yeah, and that certainly had been our experience previously at our previous bigger job, that we saw no increase in our somatic cell count as we got the various herd homes came on stream. I guess if you had an issue before, you're probably going to have an issue afterwards, and we didn't have a cell count issue beforehand, and we don't have a cell count issue now having a herd home.
Yeah, and the cows are actually clean. Like, if it's wet and muddy outside, and the cows come in here, well, they're actually cleaner in the herd home than being out in the mud and everything. So, yeah. You're just taking another step to minimise mastitis if the cows are in a warm, dry environment. And the thing is keeping everything dry too, not to overstock your herd home.
Yeah, you can probably, I don't know whether you can see behind us, but the floor at the moment, it's just the start of November in the Waikato, and the floor is really dry. But this is actually typical of how our herd home floor would look.
Even in the middle of winter, this was like, and that's having cows in it pretty much 20 hours a day. So it's to keep the floor dry, and the easiest way is a good feed ration and not to overstock it.
Yeah. So with the floor dry, I'm sure that if the floor was wet, maybe we'd be having a different conversation. But for us, with the floor dry like this, cell count is really not a concern. Yeah. When you think about it, really, the investment that we've put into having our herd home and what it's given us, we could have gone out and brought a bit of land off the neighbour or added a runoff block to our business, and it would have cost us X amount. But you wouldn't have actually known what we were going to get out of that. You can look at a bit of land and think, I could grow X amount of grass there or what have you. But once you actually end up owning it, you realise that it needs to be re-watered and re-fenced and there's all these additional costs. But if we take that money and we instead invest it in our business and build a herd home, we really know what we're getting out of that investment in money. There's no maybes, what ifs or additional costs, because the herd home, from the day that you get it available and the builders drive out the gate, and I think we've had times where the builders have been still packing up their gear, and we've had cows coming in at the other farm, and certainly here we were shooing them out to bring cows in. Straight from that day you start to see the benefits. Straight away you've got less wastage of your feed. Straight away your cows are in the shade in the summertime or in here keeping warm on a cold crappy day, and straight away you're seeing it in the vat, and that's where we need to see things to make a difference to our business.
Yeah, and if you went and brought the neighbour like another 30 hectares or something, you're still going to have the problem of mud, effluent, wherever, nitrate leaching and all. So yeah, herd home just pays for itself straight away for us.
If we went out now and added X amount of land to our business, we probably would need another part labour unit, and there's a cost in that, and the herd home doesn't add that to our business.